Hi everyone, welcome to another video from Crafty Terrain. My name's Lee and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this awesome looking Geonosis terrain for Star Wars Legion. When we decided that we wanted to take on a big build like Geonosis, we decided to reach out to Army Painter and ask them if they wanted to work with us and sponsor some videos. They kindly agreed, which is fantastic, and we really appreciate that help from them. And what they've done for us, they've kindly sent us some glues, lots of paints, some brushes and basing material, all which I'm going to be using in this project to build this piece of terrain. So thank you, Army Painter. We couldn't have done the video without you. Okay, let's waste no more time. Let's get into the video and I'll show you how to make this. Okay, so for the foundation of the rocks for the Geonosis board, we're going to be using this foam. It's like an insulation foam. It has a silver back, but I've peeled all the silver back off. You can get this from hardware stores and places like that. And then I'm just going to take a Sharpie and draw out onto the foam the sort of shape that I'm looking for my rocks, and we can glue these on top of each other and build up that formation. Okay, so just go around. You're probably going to want some small, some big. Just try and keep them nice and natural in shape. Don't think about it too much. Okay, I'm going to get these all drawn out and then we'll come back and have a look. Okay, so once they're all cut out, the next stage is just take a sharp, like serrated knife, and then all you're going to do is just cut through this foam and follow your lines around, okay? The foam does cut quite easy. As you can see, that's cutting through quite easy. Keep all your leftover bits, you might need them later, so they're always worth keeping. What I'm going to do is I'll go around, cut out all these shapes, and then we'll come back. Okay. So we're back. I've cut them all out now. Try and keep your little bits, like I said. These will go nice on some of the tops and stuff. I'll put them to the side. They can be worked on off camera. But this is going to be the main piece that I'm going to work on for the cam. It's going to end up looking something like that in height. The next stage is chop up all the middle and stuff. Just use a sharp knife like this. Just put some serrations in. So that's going to help the glue adhere and hold the pieces together, okay? And for the gluing, we're going to be using decorator's chalk, okay? This is nice and cheap in the UK. Not sure what it's called in America, but it's what you use around your skirting boards and your door frames when you're finished decorating and painting, but it's a really good adhesive. And then all you're going to do is just pipe this on where you want it to go. Get a nice thick layer and then just wipe it off, lock the gun, and then just place this on top, okay? Push down so you get a nice cover, and then if you get any bits that's sticking out like that, you can just run a wet finger along the edge like so, and that'll just help seal it in place. This will take a couple of hours to dry. If you've got time, leave it overnight, okay? That's the one downside to the decorator's chalk is the drying time. But as I said, it is cheap and you do get a really good seal. And then just follow that process again up to the next layer. Know where you're going to place your next rock and just score into the foam a little bit, okay? With the delicate small pieces, just be careful not to take a big chunk out of your foam. Okay. And same process, use your finger, go around the edges, help seal that in place, okay? And that's going to be the main your structure. If you're not happy with how it's sitting, while it's wet, you can move it around, you can slide it. Try and think about how your minis are going to play on it. Is there going to be room for bases? Are you going to be able to get a full squad on there? But that's already starting to take shape. I'm going to get all the rest done, let them dry, and then we'll... Okay, so we're back and the foam's all dried now. That's nice and stuck. I've cut my base out of 6mm MDF. I've beveled the edges with a sharp knife and rubbed it down with sandpaper so that'll blend in nicely with the board. The next step now is I want to paint these bases, and for that I'm going to be using Army Painter's Chaotic Red. Army Painter do a fantastic range of spray cans, lots of different colours. Going to make paints. I've got over 20 bases to paint now, so this is going to make painting my bases so much quicker and easy. So go and check them cans out, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'll go and get all these sprayed up, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I'm going to stick the foam to the bases. Okay, so the next stage now, this has been painted and it's all dry. As you can see, that spray paint's turned out lovely and smooth, giving me a good coverage. Okay, the next stage then is to stick the foam to the base. So just match up the shape and that it fits. Score some lines into the bottom, so it's going to help the adhesive grab and hold it to the board, like so. And then just take the same decorator's chalk again and just smooth this out all across the bottom around the edges, okay? And that will give you a good bond to the base. Like so. And then just apply some pressure and force that into place. And again, we'll have to leave this for a few hours to dry. But we're going to be guaranteed a good, nice, solid bond that's not going to come off. And this piece of terrain, well, the way I like to build my terrain is to stand the test of time. That's why I take the time to paint my bases, to protect the MDF and make sure that the adhesives that I'm using are of good quality. And that's how it's going to sort of look. Right, I'm going to let them dry, get the rest done, and then we'll come back. Okay, so that's been left to dry now, and it's fully attached to the base and it's nice and firm. So the next stage, what we want to do now is take our serrated knife that we've been cutting the foam with, and then we need to just make these rocks look like they've been like jagged, so they look more natural. So just cut little V's into the rocks like so, so create fissures. So then when we put the next part on the filler, that it's got something to adhere to. Also get in like there into the rock face with the knife and just pull some bits out, just make it look uneven. Same to these surfaces here, just knife in and chip some out, okay? Try to be random with this so it looks natural. Try not to like create any patterns or anything like that. So just cut in, make some bigger, make some smaller. And what you'll end up with is a nice natural looking rock. So I'm going to go around and do that whole piece, and then we'll come back and have a look. Okay, so I've chipped in all the rock faces now on the whole piece. It's looking quite good. Next stage then is to use the wall filler to cover all of this. This is the wall filler that I'm using. I think in the US it's called spackle. And then what I've done is I've mixed some PVA glue or white glue into this mix, and then so I've got a consistency that sort of looks like that. It will just hold, but it will just sort of fall off as well, okay? So that's sort of like the consistency that you're looking for. And then all we're going to do is I'm going to use a tongue suppressor. Take big globs and just spread it all out over the model, covering all of the foam, okay? It's important that we cover all of the foam because the foam doesn't paint very well, but because this is like a wall filler, this takes the paint really good, and you'll see when it comes to painting how easy it is to paint. So just go around, throw it on and smooth it out. Don't worry if it looks a bit bobbly in parts. We're going to rub this down with sandpaper to smooth it all out, okay? So I'm going to go around, cover all of this piece, and then once it's covered and dry, we'll come back and take a look. It does say on the tub it takes 24 hours to be fully dry and paint, so I'll get all this done and leave it overnight to dry. Okay, so with the wall filler all dried now, it's nice and hard. But as you can see, you've got this like dried like meringue sort of ice cream looking texture, but we need to get rid of that before we paint. The way in which we're going to do that, we're going to take some sandpaper or glass paper. This is 80 grade, so it's like medium coarse, and we're just going to rub this down all over to get rid of all them sticky bits. Be careful around the edges and on the corners not to remove too much that you expose the foam, okay, because the foam won't paint too good. So just go around and rub the whole piece down so you're happy with how it looks, okay. It might take a little while to get to the texture that you need, but you want it to look like a natural rock formation, okay. I'll get this done, guys, and then we'll come back. Okay, so we're going to move on now to painting the rock faces, and for that we're going to be using a technique called leopard spotting or leopard print technique, and we're going to need 4 colours for that, and I'm going to be using this dragon red, Mars red, basilic brown and chaotic red for my final wash, okay. And I'll talk you through it as we do, but you're going to mix these up into 4 containers. The final dark, this one you're going to want as a really thin wash, and these will be also washes but not as thin as this one, okay. And for applying the paint I'm going to be using this terrain brush from Army Painter to spot it on, okay. This technique will give you a really rich looking rock natural look as well. So I'm going to mix these up in the pots and then I'll show you the consistency. We'll come back and I'll show you how to apply it, okay. Okay, so I've got my 4 colours in the pot. As you can see, that you don't need much paint really, and then you're just going to add your water to create that wash, and then in the last pot you're going to want more water than the rest because that's going to be your final layer that goes over the top to just darken it all down, okay. Have some tissue at hand to wipe your brush off, and then just mix these in together, okay. Like so. I'm just going to get the piece ready and then we'll come back and start applying the paint. Okay, so now we're ready to paint. What we're going to be looking to do is just go around and dab on the colours and let it run down the piece, okay. You need to make sure that you leave some white, okay. So by the end of the 3 colours going on, the red, the orange and the yellow, you need to have about 20% white left, okay. So just dip your brush and just apply like so. Just be nice and random, throw the paint on, let it run down the model, okay, like so. Just dab it on. This brush is great for this because it's got a nice flat square head, so you can just put it on and squeeze and it will just all run out. Okay, like so. Get on all the faces, make sure you've got lots of coverage. Like so. Then just give your brush a wipe off and move to the next colour and just follow the same practice, okay. And I know, don't worry, at this stage it starts to look silly and it looks awful, but trust me, in the end it's going to turn out okay. So just stick with the process, go around, just throw it on, and we're going to end up with a nice looking piece at the end. Go all the way around. Remember, leaving your 20% white, because the paints are high pigment, they go on really nice, and they diluted with the water take to the plaster really well. And then just throw your final darker red on. and then before we put the final wash on, I like to let it dry. Some people just go straight in with the wash. I prefer to leave it to dry then to blend all the colours out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish up with this red, and I'll let it dry, and then we'll come back and we'll put the last brown red wash on and see how it's going to look. Okay, now so the piece is now dry and it's time to put the wash on. As you can see right now it does not look great, but that's fine. It normally takes probably 1-2 layers of the darker wash to blend it all together. So I'm going to start with this first layer, and this needs to go over the whole piece, okay? All of the white areas and all of the previous colours that you've put on, and this will tie it all together. So don't miss any, just go all over. And like I said, once this first layer is dry, if you're not happy with the colours and the tones and the blend, you can just apply a second layer. So don't be shy with the wash, just throw it on and just brush it and smooth it out, okay? I'm going to go around and get this all on and let it dry, and I'll come back and show you, and we'll see if it needs a second layer. Okay, back shortly. Okay, so the first layer is dry and it's starting to come together now. It's not looking too bad. Does need a second layer of wash just to blend them colours a little bit more. So same process again, just throw it all on and it will start to darken down and blend together. Pick the model up, make sure you've not missed any bits underneath in the crevices, make sure that they're dark enough. Just go around and just throw that second layer on, and again we'll follow that same process. We'll wait for it to dry, see if we're happy with the look, and if we are, we can leave it there. If not, we can put a third layer on and really tone it down. Okay, back in a minute. So that's had 3 layers of the wash now, and it's really darkened that down, and you can just see the nice undertones coming through on that rock surface, and it looks very, very natural, starting to look very nice. The next stage now is I want to put some sand or ground covers to these layers here. For that we're going to be using the Battlefield basing glue, so just take some, squirt it into a little pot, and then we're going to be spreading that out across all the areas where we're going to be putting our battleground covering. This stuff right here. So I'm going to use a nice flat large brush, and this is the terrain brush again. So just give it a good wash out if you're planning on using the brush for other things after you've used it with this basing glue. So then all you're going to do to all the areas where you want your ground cover to go, just brush on the glue. Okay, just go around the whole piece, make sure you cover all the areas, don't leave any gaps. What I'm going to do, I'll go around, get it all on, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the pour. Okay, so we're all covered in the glue now where we want the brown battleground to go. So then all you're going to do then from the pot is sprinkle over the top of your glue. Put something down though to catch the excess for when we shake it off. Okay, so old newspaper, tin foil, I've got this plastic like tray lid here. So then all you're going to do, just sprinkle on your ground cover. Okay, go all over where the glue is, don't, so you can't see any of the glue anymore. Do it across all the layers, all the levels. That's going to give us our nice ground cover, which we're going to come back and paint in the next step. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this off and then I'll show you how we bang it off. Okay, so I've added some glue and ground cover to the top there as well. I just was looking at it and it didn't look quite right. Then all you're going to do now to get the excess off is just pick it up and turn it upside down and give it a little shake like so, and then just shake it off, and that should get rid of all the excess, and then you should just get left with ground cover like so where you had the glue. Like I said, we'll be coming back to paint that. Then all the excess that's fell off, as you can see we've got lots there, you can just tip back up, put back into your pot, and you've got it to use next time. We don't want to really waste any materials. Now I've got to let that dry, and we'll be back once it's dry. So what I'm looking to do now is I'm looking to add a bit more texture to the rocky surfaces, and I'm going to be using these Army Painter Battleground rocks, and I'm just going to look to super glue some on. I'm using super glue just so it dries quicker and I get a little bit of a stronger bond just on the plain surface. All you've got to do is just go around, drop a little bit of glue where you want some rocks to go, and then just take a piece of the cork and just stick it to the super glue, and that'll just add a bit of texture, and then when we paint all this up that'll look super nice. Careful not to stick it to your fingers, and then just let that dry for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you'll have a nice strong bond. Just go around and randomly place them on to add a bit of texture. Don't overdo it, but you want to make sure you've got enough on there that it looks natural. Okay, so now I want to paint all the ground cover now that it's dry. For that I'm going back to my chaotic red, just mix them into a pot. I'm going to add some water. You want this to be nice and watery, just so it runs in between all the grains in the sand. Add some water in. I'm using my terrain brush again, and then just mix that up. We want a bit more paint than that. It's a little bit too watery. We don't want it like a wash. You want it in between how you'd normally have your paint in a wash, really. Okay, that's looking a bit better. And then all you're going to do is just paint your ground cover. Go around the whole piece, get it all covered in, so then that's going to allow us to come back and dry brush it up to the colours that we want to give it like that Geonosis-y, like sun-kissed looking like rock. Okay, I'm going to go around and paint all that up, and then once it's dry we'll begin the dry brush. Okay, so now we're ready to dry brush over the ground cover to give it a bit of detail and texture. So we're going to come back in with our basilic brown, just mix them up on a bit of card. You can have some tissue if you want, or just wipe off onto the card. I always just go straight off onto the card like so. I'm using my terrain brush again, and all you're going to do is just come over the top and just pick out the top layer of the stones to give some contrast and detail there. Just like so. Okay, I'll bring that up to the camera so you can see how all the ground cover now stands out. I was just looking at the piece, and I think I'm going to give these rocks a little dry brush with this basilic brown, just to pick up the top layers and just give them that little yellow like tint or glow to them. I think it's just going to help the piece blend together. I really like how that's looking. So just use your terrain brush, wipe most of it off like you've been doing for the ground cover, and just pick up them high edges on the rock face like so. And that'll just add a little bit of colour back into them rock faces. I'm going to finish that off, and then we'll see how it looks on the gaming mat. Okay, so the terrain's finished and I'm very happy with how it looks. I've threw the mat out and some of the minis on it so you can get a feel for how you can build your board out. I've put some of the scatter terrain and the spires that I was working on off camera with it. If we just come in nice and close, you can see all the detail on that ground cover. And then if you look onto the sides of the rocks, you've got a very natural coloration through them rocks using that leopard print technique. You know, I hope you found this video useful. I hope it's giving you some ideas on how to make your own terrain. You know, feel free to play around with the colours of the rocks. You know, Army Painter have got a wide range of paints. You could use different oranges and reds and browns to create different effects. But I'm happy with how ours has turned out. I want to say a massive thank you to Army Painter for sending us the paints and the ground covering. You know, you've really made this video possible, and we've got a brand new board now that we're going to be using for our battle reps, and we cannot wait. We're enjoying working with Army Painter, and hopefully we can do more in the future. Okay everyone, that brings us to the end of the video. If you found it useful and enjoyed it, please leave us a like. If you want to see more, then remember to subscribe and click that bell. This terrain will be appearing in battle reports in the very near future, which we cannot wait for. And before we go, I just want to say a big thank you to the Army Painter one more time. Thanks guys, you've really helped us out with this and we very much appreciate it here at Crafty Terrain. Stay safe everyone and have a great day.